in the self-development space, there's a lot of content that is either, let's say, too compressed or too elite. You can always find a lot of like hacks, tips, shortcuts, the simple thing you can do to get result. Almost always that is overpromise, underdeliver, right? It's almost never as simple as they make it sound, or it usually just doesn't deliver the result they promise, right? And that's obviously, in a way, that's also often junk content, even though, there's nothing wrong with doing things like, if there's an easy thing you can do to get a positive result, you might as well do it, right? There's no point in making your life harder than it needs to be. But again, because of the nature of how content is created and how everyone needs to try and get attention and clicks, you usually get a lot of like, this 5-minute thing will change your life forever, but it doesn't. So you get a lot of that. But the other thing that you get a lot of is highly elite content. So it's like, that's your typical successful self-development podcast. It would be like, we interview the world's most elite coach who, has coached all the super athletes you know the names of, and we ask him about how to optimize training and nutrition. Or, the world's most successful CEO, or here's a billionaire CEO. He's launched multiple multi-billion dollar companies, and we ask him about how to start a business, that kind of thing, right? Now, on the surface of it, that makes sense, and it does definitely make for interesting content. But the problem is that often this stuff doesn't apply to where you are, right? Because the billion-dollar CEO is going to talk about whatever organizational stuff at super high scale. It's like, well, I'm trying to start a business out of my living room here. I don't have to worry about how to manage my 5,000 employees because it's just me, right? And similarly, when it comes to like health, nutrition, this kind of stuff, like how to get a tiny margin of extra performance out of someone who's already world class, that stuff actually doesn't apply to me. I have to like start going to the gym. I have to start getting in shape, right? And I think it's a bit of a trap, because it might seem like, I want to learn from the best, but dude, the best are operating on a completely different level than you, right? You gotta get somewhere close to their level before this stuff applies. And the worst case is that you take some detail, there's some salient detail where you hear all this stuff, blah, 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 and then something is mentioned, and I take this supplement. And you're like, I'm going to take that supplement,
that's the one.
right? And it's like, no, that doesn't matter. Like outside the context of all the other insane stuff this person is doing, just taking the supplement is not going to make a difference, right?
So I guess that's why most of these like super athletes and high performing CEOs, their advice is usually, just work hard, be disciplined, right? Because that's the most transferable thing they could actually say to you, right?
It's very generalized, right?
Right.
And I think that's, if they manage to break down their advice to a level that applies to the average listener, that's already a success, right? And I think that's often not really the case. But anyway, the point is, I think there's a gap. There's a gap in the market, so to speak, which is what I think of as getting your shit together, where it is neither about the super quick hack, whatever, nor is it about how to go from a top 0.5 world-class performer into an even higher stratum.
0.01.
Yeah. It's neither of those things. It's like, hey, it's like, what's the sustainable, real stuff you can do to essentially join the top 10%, right? Join the top 10% before you worry about joining the top 1%.